Hi, Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leisure. I'm a sober curator to bring you the November 2024 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Aries for sun and rising placements. My little Cosmo here is being a little butthole because he gets a little triggered at night when the neighbors are coming and going. It's okay, bud. Okay, you're my baby. Um, I'm late getting the horoscope videos out. It's the middle of the month. I was out of town at the end of October, beginning of November, and I just did not get it together. I talk a little bit more about that in the astrology forecast video that's at the top of this playlist. So if you want to watch that, feel free. I go into more of the transits for the month. In the horoscope videos, I don't go over every individual transit. I just talk about the general themes for each sign. So I try to keep these videos under 15 minutes, sometimes even shorter if I can, but it's hard to keep astrology short because it is not a short matter. But it's November 13th when I am recording this, and we're just going to kind of do a quick rundown on what November means for you, Aries. So we start out the month every November in Scorpio season. We have Mercury in Scorpio for a quick second, Venus in Sagittarius, Mars in Cancer for a quick second at the beginning of the month. Jupiter is still retrograde in Gemini. Saturn is retrograde in Pisces for the first half of the month. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus, Neptune retrograde in Pisces, and then we have Pluto in Capricorn until closer to the end of the month, and then it moves back into Aquarius. So let's go ahead and talk about kind of some of the major highlights for you. So Scorpio season hits in the Aries horoscope. Let's see here. I need to get my screen set up for myself better while I talk about this. So Scorpio season, where it hits for the Aries horoscope is the eighth house, which is the house that is connected to sex, death, rebirth, marriage, shared assets and resources, taxes, all of those themes. And on November 1st, we actually have a new moon in Scorpio. I believe it is at, how many degrees is this at? I forgot, 24 degrees. No, I'm sorry. I was totally off. That's the next moon. It's at 9 degrees Scorpio. And so you can look at your personal chart and see, like, what do you have that's at 9 degrees Scorpio where this is hitting? But essentially, new moons are a time for setting intentions. It's a time for planting seeds towards things that we want to grow in our lives. And Scorpio is a planet, or not a planet, a sign of death. So, whenever we're going through things in Scorpio season, it's really about that kind of release and let go that we experience at the end of the autumn, kind of energy there. Like, what else can we kind of release before we enter into the winter months? So for Aries, the connection that you have to your finances with a shared, situation, whether it's a partner, institution, family, that kind of thing gets highlighted. Your relationship to sex gets highlighted. Marriage, if you're married, all of those things, those are big themes starting out the month. Having Venus in Sagittarius starting out the month, the area of the chart that hits for you is the ninth house. This makes you want to expand your horizons, especially within a relationship. You could want to go out of town or travel, or this could be educational. There could be an educational pursuit. But it kind of ignites more of your wanderlust energy for the first part of the month. Mars is in Cancer in the area of the chart that rules home and family. So we experience some conflict or some turmoil, some upheaval, some drive, when Mars is here, and you've had that for the last month. And now Mars is about to leave that area and enter a different house. So let's kind of backtrack. We're going to talk about Mercury, and then we're going to get into Mars. So we start out the month with that new moon in Scorpio in the eighth house, and Mercury is also here in the very beginning of the month, but it's getting pretty close to the cusp of that ninth house energy where Venus is. So on the third, Mercury is going to be leaving Scorpio, leaving your eighth house and entering the ninth house. And Mercury passing through the ninth house really does make us want to learn something new and expand where we've been. It's great for education. It's great for long distance travel. However, Mercury is going to be stationing retrograde here. So we only really have this kind of window of time to really take advantage of Mercury in its direct motion before it starts to go into more of this reflect, review, reassess by the middle of the month when it's in its shadow period. So, we will have Mercury passing through the ninth house of the Aries horoscope for all of November. Then around the 3rd, Mars is going to be entering Leo and moving out of your 4th house. So it's going to be entering the 5th house, which is the house that Leo traditionally rules. And it's the house that represents our relationship to self-expression, creativity, pleasure, joy, children. We get ramped up in this area of the chart. We feel very driven. We feel a need to, push wherever Mars is. And so this is a great time for you basically taking who you are and driving it forward and finding different ways to express yourself, be creative, find pleasure, seek joy. You could be more prone to feeling reactive or, kind of impulsive. Leo and Aries are, like this, like that energy is really positive. Mars is your ruler, it makes a trine to Aries energy. So it's also, you might feel really like a lot of momentum towards wanting to push who you are, your identity forward. Now, Mars is going to be here for quite a while because Mars does station retrograde in Leo in December. So, and it is going to go back into Cancer in January. So we're not totally done with the Cancer story quite yet. All right, so the other major shift that we're going to have starting out in the beginning of the month, more so once we get going here, is Venus entering Capricorn around the 12th. And Venus will be leaving your 9th house and entering your 10th house, where she's going to be for the rest of the month. This is great for work. This is great for getting a promotion, asking for a raise, getting attention on your work that you're doing or your career. Blessings across the board when it comes to public life and work life. The next moon transit that we're going to have is we're going to have a full moon right after that on November 15th in Taurus at 24 degrees of Taurus. Now this hits in your 8th, the sun's going to be in that 8th house, and then the moon's going to be in that 2nd house where Taurus is when it comes to finances, material stability. So full moon's great time for manifestation, great time for releasing and letting go. You've got Venus over here. This full moon's going to make a conjunction with Uranus. So a lot changes for you when it comes to work life, finances, career, but it can also be really positive. Great time for you to set intentions towards what you want to cultivate and manifest in that way. Also right before this too, Saturn is going to station direct at 12 degrees Pisces. So you've had Saturn retrograde for a couple months in your 12th house, and now it's going to station direct and start moving forward. So any of the kind of deeper blocks that you've been working through spiritually and kind of like any existential dread or kind of like, what does it all mean? Why am I here? You're going to start gaining more momentum around the forward motion, in terms of figuring that out and kind of being like, okay, I'm not feeling so stuck anymore. I'm starting to feel like we're getting moving forward in this way. I feel like November is a very like action-oriented month for Aries, even though we are entering the retrograde shadow around the 17th, I believe. Let me double check because I forgot already. Yeah, it's going to be on the 18th. We enter the retrograde shadow. So, you're going to have all this momentum, this forward motion. We're going to have that full moon on the 15th. And then on November 18th, we enter the Mercury retrograde shadow. And so again, this is a positive time prior to that for you to kind of get all of your ducks in a row. I'm sorry, the Mercury retrograde shadow, is that what we do? I'm sorry, I was wrong. The retrograde shadow starts on the 21st, and it's the 18th that we start to be in kind of this, like we have the last few days before we enter that shadow. So the 21st is going to be the retrograde shadow period starting. So, it's good to get your ducks in a row before that. If you're not familiar with what the retrograde shadow is, essentially there's kind of this like preliminary time before Mercury stations retrograde where we have, kind of this moment to feel kind of like the retrograde before it starts, I guess. It's said to, that the retrograde shadow can be sometimes worse than the retrograde itself. But That really depends on where it's hitting in your chart. Because this is in fire energy, this is mutable Sagittarius energy, it is going to impact you pretty significantly, Aries. And this is happening in that ninth house. So values, beliefs, educational programs, travel, not the best time for travel when it's hitting the ninth house, especially if it's long distance travel. And, you know, it is going to be opposing Jupiter in the third house, which is short distance. So, you know, there's some tension here for sure, but it's trining. It's not, you know, it's not terrible, but it's definitely challenging. The other lunar shift that we're going to have is on the 30th. We're going to have a new moon in Sagittarius hitting in your ninth house. So whatever kind of happens for you with some of this mercurial retrograde energy, there is an opportunity for you to set intentions around what comes up. So if you're kind of like, oh, I had all these plans, they're kind of not really going exactly the way that I had hoped. This is, you know, you're empowered to reflect, review, and reassess so that you can devise a better strategy, a better plan. And Jupiter and Gemini is kind of, you know, passing through your third house is there to help you grow and evolve in new ways when it comes to how you strategize and how you plan. Maybe things the way that you used to do them in the past really aren't working for you in the present. And here's your chance to kind of figure out a new way. This month for Aries is a lot about growing and evolving beyond where you've been when it comes to your values, your belief systems, and how you learn and perceive information, and also around how you're expressing yourself creatively. It's also a really great time for you to level up in your career and the work that you're doing. All right, I'm going to leave you there, and I wish you the best of luck. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button to get notified on when I post these. You can find me at thesobercurator.com and theladyofleosure.com, and I will see you guys next month. Good luck.